You're listening to the world-famous White Roof Radio, Woofcast number 646, recorded August 15th, 2018. Tonight brought to you by CravenSpeed.com, MotoringStripes.com, and now Motoring.com. Mini performance, speed, and style. It's on Motoring.com. Hey everybody, it's DB in Arizona with a brand new episode of the world famous White Roof Radio. We're here talking about Mini Cooper stuff and BMW stuff, oddly enough, tonight. Like we like to do. Joined as always, my good pal, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Mr. Todd Pearson.
Present and accounted for.
Excellent. Round of applause.
And that, of course, you guys know that golden tone. That was Mr. Gabe Bridger from MotoringFile, MotoringFile.com. He's here to talk to us tonight about the new company car. And about some BMW cars that he's driven. And I think about how much he hates Windows.
Yeah, I'd like to consider that voice more of a tarnished silver, but I appreciate that.
Very good. How's the weather?
Good.
Yeah, there's.
What city am I in right now? I don't know. It rained. I don't know where I am.
It rained. It's been raining in Arizona.
It poured. We got like 2 inches of rain in like 30 minutes.
Wow. We didn't even break 100 degrees in Phoenix today. I almost broke out a sweater.
There you are. Well, I got to tell you, you know what's great? Air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
It is a beautiful thing. And you know what else is great? A brand new windshield. Which I got.
Oh, did you get a new windshield?
Yeah, I got a new windshield. They came out, and the Safe Light guys came out, and they popped a new one.
Windshield installation has come a long way.
Yeah, and I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. And everybody right now, you guys are yelling at your podcast apps right now for using SafeLight, and y'all can go scratch because I have never, ever, ever had a problem with SafeLight glass ever.
Yeah, it's an aftermarket windshield.
Yeah.
By no means, it's not a mini OEM. But here's the thing about mini OEM and the latest BMW windshields. And Gabe, you may know or have heard of this too. The new ones are very thin, and they are breaking like china on your new granite countertops.
Oh, well,
really?
That's like old times. That's
just like old times. Yep,
that's great.
It's like old times. Our dealer's replacing like 6 a week.
Wow.
Love it.
Yeah, I've had...
Hey, you know what? People always say, I wish things were like, the R53.
There we go.
Here you are. R53 it is.
R53.
Screw progress, man. I want my broken windshield back.
I like when I'm just driving at 73 and it just stretch fractures.
That's what I thought. My latest one, I was driving, and then I actually watched it happen. I watched the crack come.
So
from
I'm surprised.
Corner edge.
So I haven't heard of this, and I'm surprised. I'm surprised by that because, as we know,
no, mine was an impact.
Generally,
It wasn't.
The quality of the current Mini is just dramatically different than the R53, and I always laugh when people talk about how they miss it, and I miss it too, to a degree. But it's rose tinted glasses. What you don't miss is like basically hitting a pothole. And like your windshield spidering from the left side.
Yeah.
Or hitting a pothole and your glove box opens. That used to happen on my R53s, all of them. You hit something hard enough and boom, it just pops open.
It's just reminding you something's inside of it that you're looking for.
That's all.
No, you know what you do at that point.
Don't even keep talking trash about the R53, man. You're going to get the boys upset.
Oh, who doesn't love? We all love it.
I know,
we love it. It was a lovable rattle bucket at some point, but you just replace the glove box with a parcel shelf and you're done.
There you go.
That's true. It's well, they don't make them anymore, do they? No, they do. You can.
I think Aaron still gets them on occasion. The one that's still impossible to find is the driver's side one, or passenger side in the UK.
So
don't tell me.
Do you still have it?
I do. I still.
Does
have
anybody need an R56 Cooper S exhaust unused? By the way,
no. Stock.
Yeah, I'm literally putting my feet on one right now.
Oh, why don't you put it on like Craigslist or put it on one of the Facebook pages?
It's too hard.
Okay.
I don't use Facebook. I refuse.
No. Okay, fair enough. So, hey, if anybody needs a bone stock R56, that's a 2007 to 2013 Mini Cooper S exhaust that's never been used, shoot us over an email, feedback@whiteroofradio.com. We'll make sure Gabe sees it. Probably give you a smoking price just to get rid of it, so you don't have to put his feet on it anymore like an animal.
Well, I mean, it is a fantastic ottoman. Anyway.
Okay.
DB, what kind of business do we have to take care of?
Before we actually get started, we're going to talk about all that stuff. And then I'm having some anxiety about my car that we might talk about, or it's going to be a post at dbmini. So I'm not sure which way we're going to see how tonight goes. But before we get started with any of that, let us take a moment and remind you guys about one of the fine sponsors here underneath the white roof. Let's start off tonight with our boys over at Cravenspeed. Cravenspeed.com. You know them, up in the Pacific Northwest. Those of you who went on Mini Takes the States, you came from the west side. You probably cruised up there, stopped in, said hi. There was a huge party. If you didn't go, well, you missed a huge party. I guess there were food trucks, a zillion minis. They kind of did like a little pre-kickoff party. Probably what they were doing is, if I had to guess, they were showing off all the stuff that they make. And their stuff that they make is cool, including, and you guys should be on their newsletter for this one, you would have found out, you can now get, not only can you get a short shifter for the F56, but you can also now get the shift well. So basically the boot delete, like they did with the R53, you know, that little metal plate that went in there?
Yeah,
you can get that for the
cool.
You can get that for the F56 now. Short shift kit and the little well plate thing, which removes the boot. Oh, so awesome. That's over at Cravenspeed. Of course they made it because they make all the cool stuff. Not only do they make that, they also make the platypus license plate mount, which is awesome. And they can make that for dang near any car. So if you don't want to drill holes in a bumper to mount the license plate, you get the platypus mount.
And let's be honest, that is a must-have.
It's a must-have.
Those guys, like, you can't drill unless your dealer's already done it.
Yep.
Don't do it. Buy that thing. Save your bumper. It's an offset look. It looks great.
It looks
just move to a state like Kansas where they don't require
or Arizona. But if you live in a state like Pennsylvania, California,
or Illinois,
if you're getting a new car, make sure you ask them to not drill your front plate. Go over to Cravenspeed and get that platypus mount instead and put your license plate on that. So much better. Also, if you have an R50, R53, or an R56, any of the minis that have a dipstick, you owe it to yourself to go to Cravenspeed and order a Cravenspeed dipstick because you can read it and it doesn't break. It's super awesome. Goes in, goes out. Really easy. It's WN10, of course. And then if you don't have a mini, you have something else in the driveway you want to go check out, click over on the Browse by Make tab, and they make stuff for about 30 different brands of cars right now, including the platypus mount and including the Gemini for your cell phone. They have that for more than just the mini now. Very, very cool stuff. Go over there, check all that out. That's over at Cravenspeed, cravenspeed.com, home of the rad return policy. Don't forget, too, if you do place an order, there's a comment form there. Comments, a little spice to leave a comment. Make sure you say thanks for supporting White Roof Radio. We really appreciate that. So do they. They, of course, are good buddies, our bestest pals in the whole wide world with the rad return policy. That's cravenspeed.com.
And, I just want to know when Elon Musk is going to invent the hologram license plate that just, is only on when the car is on. It just projects your license plate out there and you're done.
Oh, I like it. That
would
sounds
save
rad.
so much trouble, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, but then what are all the prisoners going to do for work? Think of the prisoners, Todd.
Screw them, man. They can go into, software development. So somebody's got to create the graphics, right?
For 25 cents.
Sense.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to put them at AI machines for 25 cents an hour, just placing playing with fonts. So everybody in California is going to end up with license plate holograms that are all done in Comic Sans.
Somebody's got to type the name.
Because that's what I would do.
or hobo. No, DB, yours would be in hobo.
Yes, mine would all be in hobo. Yes.
Wow.
Only for California, though. All the rest of the states would get cool fonts like Helvetica or Arial, but California would get hobo. That would be awesome.
Let me make something clear. Arial is not a cool font.
Arial's better than hobo.
It's default because it's at the top.
In a way, I would disagree.
Anyway, how about some news music before Gabe starts blathering about BMWs again? Jeez. Black Roof Radio, just go listen. I picked on Gabe already. It's already done. We picked on him already. It was fun.
Can't stand it.
And we picked on the kangaroo rat.
Is it news music? Has it happened?
Yeah, it's already happened. Like an hour ago, dude.
So let's go ahead. Let's dive in here, and I wanna make this brief. because I want to get to the meat of the conversation.
Hang on, let me set a timer so I can redefine Gabe's idea of brief.
You ready?
Yeah.
So I've driven a number of cars recently, and I want to start off because I think this is one of those things that we're all listening to this podcast and enjoying this podcast because we're fans of minis.
Yes.
And I think that's awesome. I love minis, absolutely love them. But minis owned by the parent company BMW, actually BMW Group,
yes.
but BMW. And so one of the things that's always interesting is as an owner of a mini or a fan of minis, you probably keep an eye on BMWs because a lot of that technology trickles down, and sometimes it's just interesting. So what's the pinnacle of BMW right now? Well, the pinnacle is the BMW M5 in a lot of ways. Okay. It is a 600 horsepower four-door sedan that does 0 to 60 in, some people have tested it, under 3 seconds, 2.8 to be exact. It's a car that unrestricted would go over 200 miles an hour.
That's pretty fast.
It is a car that has 27 less horsepower than the McLaren F1. If you get the competition package, it has 10 less. This is a four-door sedan that is at and beyond supercar performance in a lot of respects. So it's something that you can do all that while you're getting your ass massaged by the seat. Sure. So it's important to understand that this is not some hardcore performance car. It can do things on a track that would scare the living out of you, and yet get 24 miles per gallon going 68 miles an hour on a highway. Nice. It's incredible. And so I've had this car for a week, put about 1,000 miles on it, as you will. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those cars that the more you push, the more you live with, the more you sort of kind of understand, really the more it's amazing. Carbon ceramic brakes on the press car that I have. Of course. They're lost on their $9,000 option, by the way. They're lost on the highway. They're lost on the city streets. On a track, of course, they're great. Yeah. But they're pretty to look at. This is a car, actually, the M5 I have. It does not have the competition package. It has DB only 600 horsepower. I know that's kind of a disappointment.
A little disappointment, Gabe.
But yeah, hold on. Let me just check this really quick. Got it. So it's beer. Oh, okay. So it's in all seriousness, it's absolutely spectacular, and I think that it is in a lot of ways. Mini is never going to have that much power. They're never going to have a twin turbo V8, etc. Sure. But it's interesting to see these engineers do what they've done. A lot of these engineers, a lot of these folks ebb and flow between Mini and BMW. There's obviously a lot of talent that is solving different problems. I know for a fact, for instance, the lead designer of the M brand in the early 2000s moved on to Mini and actually was the lead exterior designer for Mini for many years. So there's a lot of commonalities in terms of just talent between these two sub brands, if you will, between BMW M and Mini. And so it's just cool to see, kind of untethered in some respects, what they can do. And so,
and really, just really quick, Todd, before you go, just for those of you who are curious about the M5 sedan, and maybe you're going, hey, this sounds like a kind of a cool car. Maybe I should own one. Just so you know, the M5 sedan has a base price of $102,700.
Let me tell you the price of this car.
Let me plus one. I'm going to say, Gabe. Let me guess. I'm going to say
$29,000.
How much?
29. Oh wait. Oh, sorry. $129,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say 140. So, Todd, go ahead.
There's no question. This is an expensive. It's an expensive car.
Here's my problem with it. It's 17 feet long and it has 4 doors.
Depreciate.
Yeah, you can buy it in about 18 months for
half price.
Not quite half the price, but about 60% the price.
Yeah, pretty close.
If you could buy for 60% of the price in 18 months, then you should immediately turn around and sell it to everybody else, because that is not depreciation the M5 will have. It will depreciate like a mother
ever,
but it will not depreciate quite that badly. But any car, I mean, this is just math. I mean, any car produced basically at the level the market will demand at that price will diminish in value tremendously, and it'll diminish in value more than your Mini, percentage-wise. So, I mean, again,
it's like
not
as bad as a motorhome, but yeah.
Your hand and pat yourself in the back if you bought a JCW compared to that. Because if you want to talk about depreciation, a 7 Series and an M5, etc., will depreciate much more. That said, this is a car, and I have been critical of in the past. I'd say 5 years. I have said, for the record, on MotoringFile, that there's no BMW that I would choose over a P100D or a P90D from Tesla, because there's nothing so interesting at a 4-door, $100,000+ price point that I would want. This is the first car in 5 years that has changed my mind, and done so pretty significantly.
Okay.
But does it drive itself?
Will it park itself?
If you're driving, it will park itself. It'll drive itself on the highway. But if you're doing that in an M5, you're doing it wrong.
I agree.
This is not the car. And
you don't buy an M5 for the auto drive feature?
I love autonomous cars. I think they're great. I think most human beings should be driven by robots. But this is a car. If you've chosen this car, you need to drive it, because life is short.
Yes.
Well, and I think, Gabe, what you're saying there is
car if you own it.
Yeah, what you're saying is what I've been saying about minis for a long time, is that what you've discovered is the pure joy of driving the car, and it's not that it's luxurious. Yes, it is very luxurious, and
I've discovered that before the M5, but I appreciate that.
But no, what I'm saying is that what we've been saying for a very long time is that what we love about the minis is it's one of the best driving cars out there. Now, put ourselves in a different league of finances at 25% the value,
right?
The expense to buy it. But what else can you have as much fun in for $30,000?
Well, and I think that, and that's actually a really interesting point, because here's the thing. If I look at my JCW Countryman, which is it's a $45,000 car. It's not cheap by many terms.
Yeah,
but in average car terms, it's actually, and shockingly and sadly, not that far off from the average car price. Right. And so, if with that said, it's fun, it's exciting, it's really enjoyable. When I think about the cars, and one of the reasons why I really enjoy getting these type of cars is because I can tell you, podcast listener, that when I drive a $70,000 car, when I drive an X2 right now, which costs $7,000 more than my Countryman.
Yeah, 36.4 is the base price on an X2.
It is, well,
that's base price. That's base price, dude.
Any X2 you find on a dealer lot, it's going to be 50+.
Yeah, that's true.
That car, sorry, this is the punchline here, I'm going to give it away, is less enjoyable than the Countryman JCW. Full stop. And there's no way you could argue with it, and I can tell you why in a second.
Gabe, really quick, the X2 and the JCW Countryman, aren't they almost the same car?
Same platform, UKL Plus.
Same engine, same transmission, pretty much.
Let's get back to that in a second, because I'm gonna go spec to spec. I want to bookmark sort of book in the M5. When I drove this M5, 600 horsepower, 4,000 pounds. It's not light, yet lighter. They've added all-wheel drive and an automatic transmission, and now it's lighter than the previous version. Okay. By the way, the automatic is almost as fast as the DCT, way better in traffic. It's incredible. All-wheel drive, you almost don't even know it, and you can turn it off. You could drift this thing literally down a straight road if you wanted to.
Nice.
It is incredibly sort of pliable and forgivable, malleable, forgivable, all the different ables if you want. It makes you look like Schumacher, Alonso. It makes you feel invincible on a racetrack if you know anything about how to drive. This is a car that will opposite lock and drift around anything and allow you to control it, in a ham-fisted way. M has created something that is really, really special with this car. I think it's probably, well, I wouldn't say this. It is the best M5 since the E39. And for any BMW fan, they know how much praise that is. It's a special car. So I'll end it there. $130,000 expensive, yes.
Yes.
You can pick one up or 104 with no options if you really want. And yes, you can wait a few years and get them a little bit cheaper. Although extended warranty, I would recommend it. It's a great car.
You know, I'm trying to build a JCW Countryman right now, and in the configurator, you cannot have a contrasting roof on that car.
Yeah, you can. You have 3 different options as far as lines.
You just have,
It's because I chose the classic trim.
right, you can't do that.
Yeah, And mine doesn't have contrasting either. Mine has a body color. We can get to mine in a little bit, but
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, so I want to pivot from there and talk about the Countryman, because we haven't talked about this.
No, everybody's been jonesing to hear about what you think of the Countryman.
So actually, our good friend and MotoringFile contributor Matt Adams has it right now, and his experiences. It's funny. I've been texting him, and he just like he's a curmudgeon around new minis. He is an R56, and I've never seen so much praise from this guy. He loves this car.
Wow.
He absolutely loves it. He loved the Clubman as well.
Yeah.
But of course he was not a fan of the automatic. He loves this car, and it's easy to love. So the Countryman that we have for the year is a pretty fully loaded Rebel Green, all Rebel Green.
Okay.
19-inch wheels. Basically has more or less every option except for adaptive cruise and sunroof delete.
Oh, nice.
And of course, the JCW seats, so it's no power seats. It's a car that I in sort of speccing, I firmly believed I would like less than the Countryman that I had. And if you've read MotoringFile, you'll see my reviews on it. Having had it now and I've probably put about 1,500 miles on it, and I have to say, I have to admit, I don't want to say this, I don't want to admit this, I like it more than the Clubman. And the reason why I like it more than the Clubman, there's a few reasons. This particular spec I like more. It has a manual transmission, and it has the JCW seats, which my Clubman did not. It also has a couple other small things, but those are the key things. The manual is actually the key thing. It also has more utility. The seats move fore and aft in the back. I actually prefer, and I didn't think I would, I prefer a little bit less legroom in the front, because I'm 6'2", and I could never use all the legroom they had in the Clubman. Right. So give me an inch less. Put more in the back. Allow the back to go back and forth. Allow the back to go to basically modulate between fully upright and fully back. So you basically have reclining seats in the back. The rear is taller, as you'd expect, and I know that bench. What's it called? Boot bench. The bench.
Oh yeah, the picnic bench.
Picnic bench. That thing is actually really usable.
It is.
Really?
It's pretty cool.
I use the thing all the time, and so you sort of put together these small little bits of utility from the Countryman, and the sort of the culmination of it is, it's a car that frankly is just. There's just more utility. It actually is more usable in a lot of respects.
And Gabe, you've been in a lot of those cars, including the R60 version of the Countryman.
Right. I had one for a year, in fact.
Right, and can I say this? And this is something that I've discovered as a tallish person, that access and egress from this car, both the front and the back seat, is the best ever in a Mini.
So much better. The R60. I'm 6'2". The R60 was, I'd hit my head on it all the time. It was. Yeah. It was a compacted four-door. In fact, much like the F55, the four-door hatchback is. That car don't fit well in, and that's just me. And it's a fine car, but they have nailed it. They just have nailed it with, and I would say the same thing with the Clubman as well. But the Countryman, it's a crossover, and I like, in my heart and soul, I don't love crossovers, but you know what? God damn it, this is a really good car, and I really, really like the shape of it. I like the dimensions of it. I like, and this is the thing that's really frustrating to me, and it has to do with those sort of pedestrian safety standards. Because of that front overhang, the Countryman has really kind of got the best proportions of the entire Mini range. With the 19-inch wheels.
And a better looking front end. Better
looking front end. And it has sort of a good wheel gap. It just looks kind of right. and probably more right than almost any other Mini. So, and again, like I know you guys are going to roast me on that, but that's my opinion, and I don't like it. I wish I didn't have it, but that's the way I see it.
Well,
so at the end of it, I love the Countryman so far. Only 1,500 miles in. I've got a lot to write about it. I've got a lot to even say on MotoringFile I haven't said yet. But cloth JCW seats, by the way, the best seats I've ever had in any Mini. Full stop.
I've got those in my car.
They're great, comfortable, easy to clean, not hot. So far at least, not hot in the summer. And
I think the seats are some of the most comfortable Mini seats.
And I wasn't sure, Todd. I actually I had an experience with those seats in a previous Mini, and I wasn't entirely sure if they were a great long distance. I've been proven wrong. I really enjoy the sort of the lateral support, the lumbar support. Like everything is just spot on.
Yeah, I saw somebody. You're gonna freak out. Somebody actually got a JCW with those seats, and they came in and swapped them out because they were uncomfortable. They said they hugged me too much.
Well, I mean, if you're a big dude, like I can understand that. But I think if you're not, I mean,
ride your bike more.
I'm a tall guy at least, and they fit me fine. So I think the end of it, again, I have been won over by a car I honestly didn't expect to be. It's only, I've only had it for a month. There's a lot to prove in a year, but thus far I'm pretty excited about it. So you can imagine, and there's a lot more. I could dive in deep on some things I don't like, and we'll do that in subsequent podcasts, and we'll write about it on MotoringFile. But all in, it's been really impressive. So I want to fast forward a little bit. So I basically parked the JCW and got the keys to an X2 25. Is it 25i? Whatever. It's an X2 with the exact same engine.
Okay.
And the exact same ASIN 8-speed automatic that I had in my Clubman that I had for almost 25,000 miles.
Right.
So the sort of the drivetrain of the X2 I have right now is a drivetrain I've known for a while. I know it very, very well.
Right.
It's also the X2 is very kind of, it's somewhat close to the Countryman shape. So clearly it's an interesting comparison. So there's a couple things that I'm only about 4 days into driving this thing. Mm-hmm. And I've had it. Of course, the first thing I typically do is I just crawl all over these press cars. I lift the engine covers. I get into all these things. I sort of try to understand what has Mini and BMW. What are the differences? So first and foremost, because if I know a car very well, I try to ascertain what has happened here that they've defined as required to make this different. Clearly, the X2 is what they call it, a four-door coupe. Of course, that's stupid. If it's a four-door, it's not a coupe, in my opinion, but it's a four-door.
It's really not.
Sportier looking than the X1.
As the Germans say, it's sportif. But it is. It's good looking. So I mean, let's just get it on the table. It's an attractive car. Yeah. It's an aggressive looking car. I like a lot of the styling elements that they've created. The 19-inch wheels, which I have on my car, are great. There's 20s you can get. It's a really attractive car. Stepping inside, it's again really nice. I wouldn't say that the quality is above what you get in the Countryman. I'd say it's on par. I think the BMW does a really good job of exposing the quality and not exposing the bits and pieces that are not high quality, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. But it's, from a technology standpoint, it is on par with what you get in the Countryman. Touchscreen navigation, everything else, it's all the same. So there's no thing that they have that you'll notice dramatically that's different. They have little things like there's automatic headlights. The Mini's going to get them next year. So there's little things that they have that the Mini doesn't have, but that's fine. Nothing material, if you will. The X2 I have has pretty much every option. It does not have the dynamic cruise control, which I think is absolutely, it should be on every car. It's so it's such a game changer if you commute, especially if you have an automatic. It's wonderful. So, a couple things. So this car has the quote-unquote JCW powertrain. I know it's kind of weird to say that, but it's the same exact tune.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
It's the 2-liter B48 engine.
Right.
To be nerds about it.
So I think when it comes down to it, the Countryman is a little different than the X2 in terms of, really kind of what you're looking at. It's about the same weight. It's roughly, it's like 50 pounds lighter. The Countryman's 50 pounds lighter. A lot of that comes from the X2. The X2 is lighter than the X1. There's a little bit less overhang. So the X2 is actually a closer comparison to the JCW.
Shorter up and down than the X1 and the Countryman.
It's shorter, yeah, it is shorter. So, but it's still a little bit more weight, which is kind of interesting. So the BMW X2 though, what's interesting about it is it has all these things in terms of power. It has the same dynamic suspension that the Countryman has, but the funny thing is, it's got the brakes of a Cooper S. The exact same brakes. And so there's a couple of things that's just kind of interesting about it. It's heavier, like I said, it's about 50 pounds heavier. There's also some differences in the utility. So the Countryman is taller. It has more space in the back, but also the seats in the back that I talked about, how they move fore and aft. Well, the X2 doesn't have that.
Oh.
There's no picnic bench, which is a sort of a mini thing anyway. But it also sounds stupid. But like the loss of headroom in the back is kind of a material difference. You really don't have as much headroom if you're sitting in the back. And I've sat in both just for fun. It's tight back there. If how the headrests when they flip up.
Yes.
Yep.
The X2 when they flip up, you cannot see. And in the Countryman, they flip up. It's just kind of mildly annoying. That's the difference in headroom you have back there.
Wow. Okay.
So, what's interesting is when you're getting an X2, you're spending on average. I did this math earlier today. I'd say on average about 5 to 7K more for the same options you get in a Countryman.
So it's the BMW tax you have to pay.
So you're spending 5 to 7K more for a car that has less performance because it weighs more, doesn't brake as well, less utility, and you could argue doesn't look as interesting or as good. I actually like the look of the Countryman more personally. The X2 is interesting looking, but that's obviously that's a personal opinion. But there's no doubt it does not handle and brake as well, and that's the other thing. The way it feels, the way it's damped, the way the suspension controls, like just frankly, the motion of the 3,600, 3,700 pounds in the X2. BMW has quite clearly, in my mind, designed this thing to feel slightly more compliant, where the Mini has been designed to feel slightly more responsive, especially in JCW form. So you're getting a car in the JCW Countryman that is, as you would expect, feels more like a Mini. The BMW, and this is coming from a lifelong BMW fan, it kills me to say this, feels like a car that is more compliant and more comfortable.
Okay.
But I think when you look at the clientele, you would go, it makes complete sense why it's like that.
Absolutely. And I say when it kills me, of course, I'm like, I grew up with like, my family car was a 2002 in the 70s or 80s. That was so. I mean,
comfort was not the main feature of that.
It was not. Yeah, it was not. So I think the key point there is that the Countryman, for less money, gives you more performance and more of the feels, more of the smiles, if you will, than the X2, and certainly more than the X1. And so when people say, when they cross-shop these cars, they're like, oh my God, I can get an X1, I can get an X2 for that cost. Well, actually, technically, you can't. That's part one. Part two, you actually get less of the things that I think you probably want,
right?
If you're buying a Mini, in the X1 and X2. And if that doesn't matter to you, then go get an X1, X2. They're actually great cars. Like the X2, I've enjoyed it. It's a great car. When I think about what it's up against, it stacks up well.
Yeah, and I think you're saying is why the Countryman is selling so well right now. And I think if people were really make the drive back to back, they would figure that out. That how great the Countryman is, both in the way it handles, the way it drives. The fit and the finish of this car is the best that Mini's ever done. It is on par, like you said, with the BMW X2 right now. Like the technology is virtually identical in it. You look at it and you feel it, and the usability is virtually the same at this point. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and if if you like the style of the X2 and you don't mind the things I just talked about, you don't mind the smaller brakes, you don't mind, handling that doesn't feel quite as crisp, then by all means, the X2 is a fine choice. But if those things matter to you, then I'm just gonna say you'd be a fool not to look at the Countryman very seriously.
I've become a bigger fan, as days pass, Gabe. I like the Countryman, the new Countryman, more and more all the time. I still probably couldn't see myself ever owning one. I think if I went SUV right now at this point, I'd go with the Volvo XC40, which I haven't driven yet. So
yeah. So here's the thing, I look at a couple things with XC40, and this is the thing that I think there's an equation for all of us to think through as we think about these cars. That's a great car, I'm sure. I haven't driven it either, but Volvos typically are pretty good. There's a couple things. A, look at the weight of the car. Look at the power to weight ratio. Look at the steering ratio. And
with an SP, I'm not looking for performance or handling.
Well, nobody's setting track records on these things, but
right.
What I'm saying is these are all ingredients to just make you smile.
Yeah.
So you think about all those things, and then you think about the brand and what it's trying to do. And Volvo is not going to. It's not like they're going to say man, our customers care about responsiveness. So we're going to tune this thing so it feels responsive and it sort of comes alive in your hands, like a Mini would. They're going to say, we want this to feel fluid, and ultimately we want this thing to be kind of like an iPhone, you drive around, and it's a great car. It just
works, yeah.
Yeah, and if you want that, which frankly most people do, then it's probably a great car.
Yeah.
If you want more than that, and I assume those people that are wanting more, that are probably listening to this podcast right now, then it's probably not the car you want, but go test drive it. I think there's a lot of sleepers out there that probably qualify as maybe something that'd be interesting. The small Mazda crossover, for instance.
Yeah, I can't. Once again, I can't get over the Mazdas. I think have regressed in style, and I don't like the looks of any of them.
That's fair. I actually
kind of like the small crossovers that Mazda's making these days.
I do too. I like them. I'll tell you what I really like.
Yeah,
the topic, but the
CX-3 and the CX-5.
The MX-5 is
it's a good looking.
Nope.
The Mazda.
Nope. Gabe, you can't drive. Gabe, you can't drive.
Right now.
Gabe, you can't drive an MX-5.
Yeah, I can.
No,
the
you can't.
Telescoping wheels.
Because I can't drive an MX-5.
No, the wheels move in now. So yes, the steering wheels, the new ones you can.
Yeah,
you're right. The until this year, until 2019.
Yeah, I mean, I test drove a 2015. I could drive that car like a boss with the top down. I could not drive with the top up, and I couldn't go with a passenger who was over 5'5".
Well, the new one actually is smaller, lighter, and has more room in it.
What about the? Yeah, okay, I'll have to go look because I was really close to having one of those in the house.
But I will say though, your Roadster though, DB, in all seriousness, that car is
still the car to
packaging. It's exactly. The packaging is way better than your Roadster.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a great car. Anyway, I don't know if I need to drain it anymore, but I think the X2 has been really interesting on a number of fronts. I think one of them obviously is that it has really reinforced how right Mini got the Countryman.
Well, and what's interesting, Gabe, is we've talked about this for many years on the show. As we all get a little bit older, we've been doing the show for
13 years. 13
years. Oh my gosh, right?
We're in our 14th year. Yeah, we hit 13 years on August 1st, as we already talked about.
So, like us, many longtime Mini owners and customers have gotten older, made a little bit more money. They're not looking for the cheapest option out there. They're looking for a little bit more comfort. They still want style, but they want drivability. And for a long time, and I'm saying a few years ago, a lot of people were like, well, why would I buy a Countryman or a Clubman? I can go over and get this X1. Okay, when that was the offering.
Yep.
Because it was pretty close to price-wise, around 40 grand, 45 grand. You can equip one out and be very comfortable. And Gabe, what I see you're saying now, and I think I agree with you also, is that shift is now coming back. It's like, no, really consider this Mini. And what you get, you're actually getting more of a car and more of the things you want and you like in it than you are with, say, an X2.
Well, and I think that in a lot of ways, if you kind of take 4 steps back, it all makes sense, Yeah. They have a common platform. That platform was dictated by Mini and BMW. But I think, and this is probably going to be up for debate, I think Mini has made the most of it. I think they have basically looked at that platform and they have found, in my opinion, the right mix of performance and comfort and utility. Whereas BMW has gone, I think, in a slightly different direction and catered, I hate this phrase, but I'm going to use it. They've catered to the masses to produce a car that they want to sell in volume.
Yeah.
And of course, Mini wants to sell a lot of Countrymen as well. They want to sell in volume, but they have basically tuned that JCW Countryman, or even the Cooper Countryman. They've tuned that car in a way that I think more appeals to the people who are likely listening to this podcast, and certainly appeals more to me.
Cooper Countryman.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Sure.
Remains to be seen.
Sure. I did a quick build out of a new Countryman, JCW Countryman, just because I was curious what it would take for me to actually be able to afford that car. And I would have to come up with $25,000 at least as a down payment to be able to afford that car.
Well, there's certainly used.
Yeah,
there's a lease
for sure, and there's a lease, and there's a whatever
I drive too much for lease, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
actually, to be honest, I'm looking for Roxy's replacement. I'm looking for the next car that I can put 300,000 miles on, and the Roadster isn't it. And I don't think any current model Mini is that car.
I would disagree. I would actually think that the Minis that are being sold right now are probably going to, and nothing's gonna be trouble free. But they're probably going to be more trouble-free than anything that's been produced before. So, DB, you can pick up a Cooper. You don't need all 4. I think all 4 is a better handling car, unfortunately. But you can get a front-wheel drive Countryman for well under 30 grand.
Yeah, 25, 26 grand. I mean,
I was just doing the JCW. I haven't come back and just done an S because I just won't do a Countryman as a Cooper. So that's just silly.
You'd be comfortable in it. It'd be fine.
I think it would be fine. I think it wouldn't be fast, but I mean, it'd be fun.
No, the last time I still have a bad taste in my mouth when I drove a Cooper version of the R60, and dude,
the automatic version that was really bad.
It was an automatic at that, and it was like a press car.
Well,
it was like a pre-release that somebody had just to have one around so they could see what it looked like, felt like, all that stuff.
That's a major issue. So you can get a front-wheel drive Cooper S Countryman, 31.4. For 34.4, you get a lot more for your money.
Yeah, you do. But
well, for what it is, and let me segue into.
Not that I'll be buying a new car anytime soon, but that's a point for another day.
I know. I think we beat the new car horses there.
I believe we have.
And DB, because you're talking about picking something up, let me tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to let you do a break. But I want to say this is that I've seen this a lot lately, and Minis have been around long enough that a lot of people want them and have wanted them for a very long time. They'll go out and they'll find a used one. And here's something I've seen happen a lot lately, and I talked to the techs at the dealer. Somebody will bring their car in, they'll bring their Mini in, and the dealer says, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. And before you know it, there's like $3,000 to $4,000, maybe $5,000 worth of stuff that needs to be done to your car.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? They're like, well, I'm not going to do any of that. They go to the Ford dealer, the Hyundai dealer, whatever, and they trade it in, and then that dealer turns around and just puts the car on the lot, sells it as a used car. Somebody goes, oh, great deal. I can buy a used Mini. So they buy this car, they don't get it checked out,
Right.
and they drive it for a few weeks, and they realize, I need to take this car in. So they go into the dealer, and then the service guys are like, we just saw this car, right? And they alert the new owner with the terrible news. You bought a car that needs $5,000 worth of work.
Right.
Okay? And I feel bad. I've seen this happen so many times last year, it makes me ill. Okay? And it's like, you're spending enough money on a car that you should get it checked out first.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, do one thing. If you're in the market for a used car, I don't care if it's a used Mini or whatever, especially if it's a used Mini or a used BMW, just take a picture of the VIN number and go to your dealer, go to the service department and say, here's the last 7 of the VIN number. Can you run the service history on it and tell me?
And just tell them, like, listen, if you help me with this, I will take this here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they may not tell you everything, but they may say, you know what? I wouldn't buy this car. They don't have to tell you anything. I mean, it's, private information. But if you know the people and take them a dozen donuts or something, get them to run a service history on this car just to go, should I buy this car or no? And a good service department is going to go, no, you should not buy this car unless you can buy it for $1,000.
Or just be like, it needs. You're going to throw down X amount, and you should just be aware of it.
Right. And so that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, if you do find a car that you like and for whatever reason you just fall in love with and you have to have it, I'm going to tell you, extended warranty is your best friend.
Oh, I already found that out. Extended warranty covered that fuel filter issue I had in the Roadster. So it was a $600 repair, cost me with an oil change $100.
Yep, there you go.
Right. So it worked out really. I had to pay sales tax on parts.
That's my 2 tips. Is I don't care how new the car is or how few miles on it, get the service history checked out.
Yep.
And for whatever it is now, and it's going to be an additional cost, like a new Mini today.
It's $25. My extended warranty on my Mini, and it was 2013 that I bought in 2017. The extended warranty out to 100, I think it's out to 150,000 miles, cost $2,500.
Yeah, and I think it's well worth it. You're going to take advantage of that. You're going to end up using it.
Because I've got the Roadster. It's got even with the N18 motor, I'm going to need a turbo probably tomorrow. So
and here's the thing: is unless your dealer decides to, somebody trades a car in, a 2-year-old Mini with say 20,000 miles on it.
Right.
It used to be you'd get the remainder of the warranty. You'd get the 4-year 50,000. It's not like that anymore. You have to pay. You have to pay an upgrade fee to get the rest of the warranty.
Yeah, I'd get extended warranty even if I bought CPO. And CPO pushes the warranty out pretty far.
If you get the CPO, it comes with, it extends the warranty out, but it's not as much as it used to be.
Right.
And BMW's dropped it down a little bit too.
Pardon me.
Yeah. It used to be 6 years, 100,000 miles, but I don't think it is anymore.
And gap insurance. That's tip number 3, gap insurance.
Yeah, especially if you're rolling any money into it.
Yeah, definitely get gap insurance.
If you want to hear the stupidest / smartest thing I've ever bought was tire and wheel insurance, and I bought it on my 2005 Cooper S because I spent.
I remember that.
Yep.
No, I spent a ton of money
on the wheels.
On wheel, yeah. And the way they worded it, basically, it was any wheel that was on that car.
Oh, okay.
Chicago used
to eat the wheels off that car on a daily basis.
It paid for itself basically with one pothole.
Didn't you max out the number of wheels you got replaced on?
I sold the car before I got to that point, but I did go through a couple.
All right, good.
It was a tire and 2 wheels, I believe.
Well, okay.
Hey, tips from the good gentleman at White Roof Radio. Have your car checked out by a mechanic. Go to the dealer. Have them run the VIN number at least. Yep. And whatever you do, I don't care what brand car it is, get an extended warranty on it.
Have your car spayed and neutered.
Unless you have like an unlimited budget. Yeah. Unless you have an
Does anybody remember that comment?
Yeah. That was Bob Barker.
From The Price is Right.
From The Price is Right. Exactly. Have your
car. So I have to admit I have an early flight tomorrow.
Okay.
So I will say that, and I don't mean to hurry us, but I've thoroughly enjoyed talking about this stuff.
Yeah, Gabe, if you need to go, you can go ahead and go. That's all right.
I don't know. All right. I'm just doing that because I want to say, if I do have to go, I want to take the time to say I've thoroughly enjoyed talking about this stuff. I love talking about this stuff.
Excellent.
I've had a lot of this stuff in my head for a while, and I've been excited to tell Todd specifically how much I love the Countryman.
I'm not surprised. I am not surprised one bit.
Nice.
Because Gabe, I don't know if you remember my my lady friend's parents. I got them into a new Countryman, a new Cooper S Countryman.
Well, there you go.
And I've driven the car quite a bit, and I like it more every time.
Yeah, they just got it right, you know. And it's not like the I mean, let's be honest, it's not like the most like visceral, exciting, you know, Mini that they offer, but it's just they just for what it is, they nailed it.
They did. They dialed it in. They made it feel like a Mini. Once again, it feels like a Mini.
Nice. Very cool stuff. Really quick, let's tell you about one of the other fine sponsors here underneath the white roof, our good friend, our good pal, our good buddy over at Outmotoring. Outmotoring.com. Don't forget you can check out his posts over at MotoringFile as well. Very cool stuff. Doesn't matter what Mini you have. Doesn't matter what you need for your Mini. Outmotoring.com has you covered. Handy dandy search right there at the top. Look for anything you need. Body trim parts, glove box organizers, carpeted floor mats, hats, shirts, shoes, watches, all the things. Outmotoring.com. Click over there, check it all out. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. When you do that, really handy thing. And you should also probably follow them on the social media like Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, because Aaron's been sharing the coupon codes, the monthly coupon newsletter on coupon codes on the social medias as well. So you should follow it's at Outmotoring pretty much everywhere. And besides that, some of the posts are actually pretty funny. But sign up for the newsletter when you get there. Just, it's right there on the front page. Put your email address, hit subscribe. You don't get a lot of emails. This is pretty much whenever Aaron remembers to do it. And every time you do get a 5% coupon code, which is super awesome. Don't forget to, they're going to help you make sure you get the right parts for whichever Mini you've got. Huge club support. Aaron's still supporting clubs today. I saw a post on Instagram, like a big shout out to Outmotoring for providing a giveaway for some event that some mini club was having. I thought that was pretty awesome. Free shipping on pretty much anything. Anytime you spend more than $195, 100% happiness guarantee. Duh. And don't forget the hitches over at Mini Do More as well. That's our friends over at Outmotoring, outmotoring.com. I want you to go over there and check those guys out. Really, please, like everything. I've been looking at brakes lately, and, and I've also been, trying to get that weird part for my Vantage V8 Roadster S that I just am having a hard time finding. Aaron has that for you as well. Again, that's our friends over at Outmotoring. Outmotoring.com. Mini performance, speed, and BBS wheels. It's outmotoring.com.
Nice.
Anyhow.
And DB, I hear your anxiety about. Was it just about what to do next, or what?
Yeah, well, it's not what to do next. So, my car is currently in a state of disrepair, and I need $1,000 worth of work done on my car in the shape of tires and brakes, right? And that's just going to cost $1,000. That's just what that costs. Then that's fine. But with my recent breakdown, and then I'm reminded that I'm driving a 5-year-old R59. With an engine that is prone to all manner of failure once it gets over 80,000 miles, not to mention all the issues that are going to come about with the roof because I've got a car that has 80,000 miles on it. It's starting to make me nervous, right?
And you still got warranty. Don't worry about it.
The transmission in my commute now, since my commute changed, honestly, it's horrific.
Well, any automatic transmission is a time bomb.
It's just absolutely horrible.
So
and I've tried all the tricks. Everybody says, dude, try sport mode, move the shifter over, then do sport mode. Just do sport mode by itself. I've tried all those tricks, and sport mode makes it shift like you're riding in the car with somebody who's never driven a car before.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's yeah.
At the end of my day, I just want to get home. Right, and that's my little decompression time, and I don't want a car that jerks around and drives like crap, because I'm trying to drive it and during my commute.
You don't want to jerk.
And the throttle response, just don't even get me started. Just all these things are starting to combine together and starting to make the car a little bit less enjoyable for me, because I'm wasting it. I really am driving it, 20 miles that takes me 45 minutes to cover. That's a waste for this car. This car wasn't built for that. Right? This car was built to leave in the garage or take it out on drives. This car was meant to drive, not meant to sit in traffic. And now I'm having anxiety about it. So that's all.
Well, you know what? I think you've got a car under warranty.
Oh yeah.
You can always sell it. I think it's a beautiful car. and you can move on to what's next.
Yeah.
It's also
sadly, and this will be a topic for another day, but what's next probably is not going to be a Mini.
Ooh.
I know.
Let's talk about that.
I know.
Yeah, you say that now, but
I say that now, but you know what? More and more, I do not want a car with a turbo. I don't.
Well, let me introduce you to Cooper.
And the Cooper has a turbo on the new cars. And I don't really want to go back to getting an R50 again. And I definitely don't want an R56 Cooper because that thing's just a steaming pile of crap.
Well, tell us how you really feel, dude.
Dude, I had that car and it shit fell off it all over the place. The rearview mirrors fell off. The interior sun visor fell off. That thing was a pile of crap. Come on. We know quality skipped R56. The first gen R56. Quality skipped that car.
Yeah. Well... Yeah.
Unless you paid a lot of money for it.
I'm sure there's people that would disagree. I would argue that the amount of money that was poured into the development of the F56 would, if I'm just using logic and math, would dictate that Cooper, despite the fact that it has a turbo, is probably going to be your most trouble-free option from a Mini standpoint.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be, having owned one here for the year, it's also the most boring option. And
I drove one for a day. I drove one for a day, and I don't think it was horrible.
I love the manual transmission Cooper. I love that car.
We had it.
That's so crazy. That's so fun. It's such a great car.
I think I'm spoiled though because I went from 2 GPs to my JCW F56.
But it's not about fast. Like that car, forget
No,
fast.
it's about boring, Gabe. It's not about fast.
You're not doing it. You know what? I'm gonna say something, Todd. You're not doing it right.
No.
You're not doing it right. If you think that car is boring, and I guarantee there's gonna be people say the same thing. If you think that's boring, you're not doing it right. It's not about fast. Like if you're comparing it to a GP, you're doing it wrong. Like it's not a GP. It's very different.
Right. How about it? For me, it was too comfortable. Okay, and for that, what I mean is it's too comfortable.
All our English listeners are just like rolling their eyes in the back of the head because you know how much people in England love comfort over their potholes.
Yeah,
that car is designed to float and bob and weave. We'll say bob and weave. It's designed to bob and weave.
I don't even think so either. But we didn't. See, here's the problem: we didn't have a sports suspension on the car.
And they only had a sports suspension the first year. They Mini USA literally took it out of the options book because so few people went for it.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe, but then it's out of my price range, and I can't find one that's blah 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 blah. Anyway. I'm at that point in my life where I'm realizing that I no longer think that BMW products are for me. They're no longer in my budget for purchase or for support, and that makes me sad. But that's what it is. I can't afford it
because you're going to end up in a Hyundai.
But at least it's a car I can afford. Or I'll do like what the token Canadian in my office did. Is he searched and searched and searched, and he found a Toyota Corolla with a manual transmission.
Sweet fancy Moses.
I don't know what I will replace it with, and I'm not there yet because I have to knock down a lot of money off my loan.
I was going to say, you're be upside down for a little while.
Yeah, I'm quite a bit upside down still, but that's okay because it's a better deal because I blah, 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 blah. And I don't mind that I'm upside down, so I mean, I'm still stuck with it for another year, but that point notwithstanding is I no longer think that the Mini brand or any BMW brand is for me.
Yeah, well, just keep nibbling at those things like tires and brakes. And
I mean that's just a little bits of stuff that just like reminds me that Minis are expensive to maintain. But all cars would cost $1,000 for a round trip on tires and brakes, right? So I mean that's just an expense of the car, and that's fine. I don't care about that. I'm more concerned with like a turbo failure, and it's not that I'm concerned about the expense. I'm concerned that it's going to be another 115-degree day. And the car's going to break down on me again and leave me stranded outdoors for 5 hours, and I'm going to get sick from exposure.
That's a scar.
I have a solution for you, DB. You need to move out of Phoenix, and you need to get a better job.
Well, yes on 2, nope on 1. Sorry.
All right, so let's help DB on that second part, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Anyhow. Yeah, it's just not. The Mini has quite literally priced me out. I mean, I make a modest salary. I only make what, 55 a year. 55 a year and paying rent. That you cannot afford a Mini Cooper on $55,000 a year.
Well, not a new one, and not anything.
You can't afford care and maintenance on a Mini Cooper.
I think that that's a fair assessment, and I think that the one thing that is crucial in that equation, DB, is if you want to, you have to find somebody who can fix, pretty blunt here, can fix your car for cheap.
Yeah, I have a guy who is less expensive than the dealer. Right, it's our version of Detroit Tune, Jerry over at LeSueur, and they sell a whole crap load of cars. They used to do buybacks and shit like that. But I got a guy. Getting the work done is not really the problem. It's just the fact that the work has to be done, and the work that has to get done is extensive, and the parts are expensive.
Well, and I wish, they are, it's true, but like the labor is so expensive. So like brakes, I mean, having a lot of brakes myself.
I could do my own brake job, but there's not enough room in my garage, and I don't know where all my tools are, and I haven't done it for so long. It's
also probably so hot.
Yeah, it's also 150 degrees outside.
I guess that's my point. There's ways that people can get around it once they sort of like get their hands dirty and get into it. But I mean, I know that's not always. It's easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing a brake job. Because I used to do all the brakes on my R50, right? Not a problem. I did front brakes on the R56, not a problem. And I've always done the front brakes on my car. I don't do the rears because I don't have the special tool, and that always means that it's also time to have the brake fluid flush, and I'm not going to do that because that's beyond. That's beyond my
fun job.
Exactly. No, thank you. So it's just like, well, that needs to get done and the rear brakes, and I would do that at one time, right? Because that made logical sense to me. So I'll do the fronts, let Jerry do the backs, and then he can do the fresh fluid for me at the same time. And when I need new rear brakes, that's how I knew I needed the brake fluid flush.
Yeah.
So it worked out. So like, you pay rent and you change out your air conditioning filter, that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's getting expensive, and it's not it's just the regular. It seems like the regular expense of shit breaking on Mini Coopers that I can no longer afford, and I can't afford a new one. So that I can bypass again that initial, the whole shit breaking. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let's check in on this soon, DB, because I think it's a good topic, and it's an honest topic that
you're not alone in.
Sure deals with this. There's a lot of people, probably a lot of listeners. There's people, DB. I get emails all the time, not all the time, but often, like over the years. They have literally been reading MotoringFile for I got one the other day, a decade.
Yeah, I think I saw that email.
Literally not been able to afford a Mini until now,
right?
And they're ready to buy after all this time.
Yeah, and
so I think that's great. There's a lot to be said about the joy in that moment. There's also a lot to be said about the fact that hey, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm going to move on to something else. Maybe I'll come back. That's fine. But let's be pragmatic about it for a little bit.
Right. I mean, it's not that I can't. I mean, I don't have a problem buying, used cars or pre-owned Minis. Car I'm in right now was pre-owned, right? And that's how I got it for such a good price. I paid what?
But it's also the emotional part of it too.
Yeah, it's just it's the extra stress, right? It's like, okay, sure, I'll buy an F56 a 2015 for $20,000, sure, or 15,000 because it's got 30,000 miles on it. Okay, sure, that's fine. But what's gonna break over the next 50 to 70,000 miles, right? And
you're also pretty smart about it too, DB. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are making that choice, and they don't have the knowledge you do, and they get turned upside down in a way that is pretty, it's pretty materially like detrimental to like their everyday life.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just I mean, Roxy was bulletproof after the initial 3 months, and Gabe, you felt you lived that struggle as well. But once all the little initial build quality shit was fixed, then that car was bulletproof. Mm-hmm. Bulletproof. I didn't have any problem with that car until I had to put a clutch in it at 120,000 miles, not counting wear and tear items.
It's funny you mentioned that, DB. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I think that's something to be said about that car that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
The first generation Mini Cooper
was put together in a shitty way, but when it comes down to it, it was so simple.
Yeah.
As long as you could make that transmission last.
Yep.
You know, outside of a few minor things.
And when it didn't, you swap it out for a 6-speed and you put another 100,000 miles on the car, which is what I did.
Yeah.
Right? Because the 6-speed... Go ahead,
a Dodge Neon block was a solid block.
Dude, that cast iron block.
It was a cast iron block.
That engine, I mean, shit, when Harold passed, his Mini had, what, 500,000 miles on it?
Yep.
Harold, and for those who don't know, Harold, what was his last name?
Stansfield.
Yeah, to give him the full credit he deserves. That gentleman drove a Cooper CVT. Am I right, guys?
Yes, it was a CVT.
Right.
Correct.
CVT.
Silk green, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it?
Silk green, white top, if I recall. He drove that thing to 500,000 miles before, God rest his soul, he passed away.
He was a sweet soul man.
He was a sweet man, wonderful human being. Yeah. And I'll never forget. I knew of him, and I knew the miles he had on it at the time. It was like a couple $100,000 or a couple, more than that. And I'll never forget the way he pulled away from the conversation we were having. It was not to use the word silk too often here, but it was silky smooth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. His silk green just kind of wafted away.
There it goes.
And I realized at that time, like, oh shit, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yep. You just drive it gently.
Yeah.
You take care of your car and you drive it gently, and you know that every single motion, every change in direction is basically wearing your car down. And you have to do it, of course. So you just do it carefully. You do it gently.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I loved his story too. He said he didn't put brakes on the car until I don't know,
it was like
5,000 miles on it. And
something ridiculous, yeah.
He goes into the dealer and he tells this story and he's like, they go, have you put brakes on this before? And he goes, no, those are the original brakes, 85,000 miles. And he goes, are you serious? He goes, yeah, check the horn.
That's great. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, he was a good guy. I actually think, though, that he did have to have the motor replaced, but it wasn't because it stopped working. It was because somebody screwed something up at the dealer.
Yeah.
And they end up having to replace the motor. So that goes and that was at like 275,000 miles. So technically, Roxy had more miles, but I mean, it's not a competition or anything, but still. Just saying. She's running horse out of Mexico now at the border, I'm sure. I don't know what she's doing. I can't find her anywhere. I keep searching for her VIN, and I can't find her anywhere.
Yeah, well.
So anyway, that's my anxiety. It's all money related.
It's all fair.
So anyway, we'll stay posted. There's a DB Mini post in there somewhere. Just since I finally got DB Mini to kind of taper off towards the end of the show. For those of you who've been playing along with the home game, know that I've been experiencing some issues with WordPress of late, especially on my sites, dbmini.burnside.com and White Roof Radio as well, plus the bike shop or the bike show, Ride Bikes Radio. Been having some trouble that I think I finally gotten to the root of the problem, and it's just the fact that these sites are all 15 years old. So I've gone in and done a lot of cleanup, added some new caching to them. In fact, if you guys poke over it, I'll link it up in the show notes. Actually, link over to whiteroofradio.com. If you just poke over to White Roof Radio, you're going to notice right away the site loads much faster, almost instantaneous, especially on mobile. It's really, really nice. DB Mini loads the same way. I'll be adding that to the rest of the sites later. And honestly, if you guys ever go to one of my sites and it's broken, ping me on Twitter or let me know on Facebook or something, please. It's annoying. I know you guys look at my stuff probably more often than I do. So, honestly. Anyway, that's all I got for right now. Does anybody have anything else?
No, sir.
No, I am out.
Todd, really quick.
I've got to go drive a M5.
Todd, are we really quick? Any more MTTS stuff left, or is it all gone?
No, I still have I want to say about a dozen of the limited edition badges. I just sold another one today, so I think we're down to like 11 or 12.
There you go. So if you were on Mini Takes Estates and you want one of the limited edition badges, numbered all the things in a pack in a plastic pouch, go over to motoringstripes.com, get one ordered. Todd will get you hooked up. Not only that, but stripes and other graphics, plus the really cool trick. Go to motoringstripes.com and you have a sunroof, but you want your air conditioning to work because you live on the west of the Rockies. You can actually go to Todd, have him, and order up the White Roof Radio Sunroof Delete Kit and tell him the color of your roof. And for $100, he'll change you the graphics and you put it on yourself. It's not really hard. It takes about half an hour or so. You just put it on and all of a sudden your air conditioning will work again. It's really, really amazing. My favorite thing that Todd has ever made is the White Roof Radio Sunroof Delete Kit. Just saying. I had one on Roxy forever. It was great. Oh, so awesome. So awesome. Yep. It really was. Anyway, but we're done for the week. Gabe, thanks again for joining us, sir. Great to have you. As always, anytime you're available, let us know. Or even if you just need to spit something out and you record on your phone, you just need to put it on MotoringFile or something, just shoot it over to me. We'll get that taken care of.
Done and done.
Everybody wants to hear more about the company car as you do it. And, of course, is the JCW Countryman. So very exciting stuff. Todd, thank you as always as well. We almost had Brian tonight, but he's in the middle of a move. We almost had Chad tonight, but Chad's got Dream Cruise and something else. Chad's busy, a three-legged chicken? What
he's just putting in turbos left and right.
What did Chad say? It was really funny, and I don't remember. But he said he was busy as a three-legged chicken at a ass-kicking contest or something. I don't actually remember, but it was really funny. But he's been busy, so we're going to get Chad back on here pretty quick as well. But thanks, guys, for listening. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being patient with all of our technical glitches of late. We do appreciate it. This is the time of the show, however, where I do like to make that funny clicking sound, and then I say... Questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and click back over to whiteroofradio.com. There you can leave us a note in the show notes. You can also email us, feedback@whiteroofradio.com. But until next time, gang, this is DB. I'm done.
Cheers.
Okay, there's some BMW form for you over there in Slack.